Hello, and welcome to another reaction video. Now this one I thought I'd do something a little bit different and react to something that I'm a fan of, that I actually like. Namely, of course, if you've watched this channel, The Angry Video Game Nerd. He's my favorite YouTube channel. Just came out with a hot new video. I thought I'd react to it, watch it fresh for the first time, with you, the viewer. So without any further ado, let's watch the video. Little rhyme for you. I'll put me right there. Okay. Hopefully my audio's okay. We'll see. I'll fix it in post. It's a song by Kyle Justin. He was a guitar player. He used to be on the show. He and James had a sort of falling out. I don't want to get into that right now. This is a new video.
First angry video game nerd
Yes.
of the year. We're kicking things off with
Oh!
an NES game that many consider a classic.
Young Frankenstein,
and I couldn't be happier
middle
to
shelf
have
left.
our longtime
Wayne's
sponsor,
World,
ExpressVPN,
Ghostbusters.
back for another
I know
year.
all those.
ExpressVPN is the world's #1 virtual private network that not only protects my privacy from hackers, but also unlocks unrestricted access to the internet by switching my geolocation. Often I'll watch Netflix for videos on the channel, and without ExpressVPN browsing, it feels like
Oh, Raiders of the Lost
a
Ark, bottom
library
right.
that keeps all
Eyes
the
up,
good
eyes
books
up.
locked away in a restricted section. ExpressVPN bypasses all that and unlocks access to everything on their proverbial shelves. All you need to do
Cool.
is change your location to another country like Japan.
I'd be a liar if I
and
said I
in
wasn't already a
9
member
seconds
of
you'll be watching
ExpressVPN.
Scream 5 or whatever they called it in beautiful high definition. Go get 'em, Ghostface. And with servers in over 90 countries around the world to pick from, I'm always
Ghostface
confident
killer.
that I can find what I need with a little help from my friend, ExpressVPN. Find out how you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free by going to expressvpn.com/cinemassacre or by clicking the link in the description below.
Will do. Thank you. Thanks, James.
Of all the classic myths of ancient Greece, which would you say is the most remarkable? Would it be the story of Prometheus, the Titan War, the Trojan War, the quest for the Golden Fleece, the rescue of Andromeda?
Don't give me the runaround this time, Jamesy.
Choices,
I know what
as
we're
with the
talking
many
about
of
here. I've read the
legendary
title.
heroes, Achilles, Hercules, Perseus, Odysseus. But there is perhaps one that stands out from the rest. It doesn't come from the writings of Plato, Homer, or Sophocles, but from Nintendo in the year 1987 AD. Not written with ink on papyrus, but as ROM data on a circuit board. Not sculpted in marble, but encased in a gray plastic cartridge. The tale in which I speak of is none other than Kid Icarus.
I love Kid
I'm gonna
Icarus.
take
It's my
you
favorite
back.
game.
No, I mean way back to the early
Back
days
to the
of
past.
the NES library. Think of it like the family tree of the Greek gods. There was the era of the Primordials, followed by the Titans, and then the Olympians.
Uranus.
The NES itself had its own primordial age, the black box games as we call them, because they all had that same uniform box art with those distinct pixelated
talk about
characters
classic.
that looked just
Nobody
like their
respects the
in-game
classics like
counterparts.
James Rolfe.
These games were simpler to play. They were more
Kung
arcade
Fu.
style, some of them being actual arcade ports like Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Kung Fu, and Popeye. Of course, I can't forget Gyromite, since that game
Oh,
required
remember that?
a
Episode
robotic
100.
operating buddy.
Oh, that was my favorite
Let's
one.
not dwell on that again. But without a doubt, the most prolific game of that launch was Super Mario Brothers, which would change the course of gaming history. So let's get into the next era of the NES library, which would be the equivalent of the Titans. This is when the
Gyromite,
true legends were
or
born.
Stack Up.
And I do
Remember that?
mean legends.
Gyrometer, because he
Of
only
course,
played two
all those
games.
were
So
previously
awesome.
released
He
on
turned
the
all of
console's
James's
Japanese
library to
counterpart, the
Gyromite and Stack Up.
Famicom. But for the sake of the story, we're talking
What was
specifically
Nintendo
North American NES
thinking?
releases. Because
So
it was in the
funny.
summer of '87 when the Nintendo gods descended before us. They came in swiftly, like a summer thunderstorm. The sky filled with smoldering clouds, churning, brewing in an electric tempest of gaming genius. And then the clouds opened up, and the golden rays of heaven shined upon us, and out from the rays, floating down, came 3 games.
My 3 favorite
Zelda,
games.
Rejoice, Metroid,
Metroid.
Hallelujah,
And
Kid Icarus.
Kid Icarus. Hell yeah. Love this game.
Well, how would I describe that one? Well, I think the best way to sum it up would be with a very famous... Kid Icarus. Well, how would I describe that one?
James. James. You played a fart on Kid Icarus. James?
Icarus. Well, how would I describe
James.
that one? Well, I think the best way to sum it up would be with a very famous quote from the great mathematician, astronomer, inventor Archimedes. In his most famous publication, as he so wisely put it, in those immortal words...
Where are you going with this?
Fuck it. Yes, in this context, Kid Icarus had a lot to live up to. Is it remembered as an NES classic?
Yes.
Sure, it is. But comparably, it was the ugly duckling. Another way I can describe it is...
Comparably? James, comparably, James? Yeah. Why do I bother?
If the Nintendo Summer of '87 was a hard rock metal festival, and you had all these amazing bands perform,
Yes,
like
yes.
Iron Maiden, Metallica, Guns N' Roses...
What are you going to
but
compare
the
this to?
headliner
Whoa.
was, Nickelback. Just think, after we first popped in Legend of Zelda and first took control of the elf-like hero Zelda... Oh wait, that's Link. And then we fired up Metroid, playing as the armored suit space warrior, Metroid. Oh wait, that's Samus. Don't kid yourself. If you're as old as me...
Who wrote this?
You know right
James?
away. Didn't
Why are you
skip
pretending like
those
you don't know
opening
who Lincoln...
dialogues and ignore the manuals before you eventually found out the real
Oh, you don't know
names?
who Samus is either.
With Kid Icarus, the character's name must be Icarus. It's the title of the fucking game.
James. James, you just established... James! You just established that you can't use it... James! You can't judge a game by its title. Metroid doesn't have... Metroid is the main character, that's the bad guy. Zelda, that's the person you're trying to save. James! You've talked about the chronologically confused timeline. You talk about Majora's Mask. You've talked about Zelda your whole career. And now you're pretending like you don't know to set up some kind of joke. That's not funny, James.
Well, guess what? It's Pit. Yeah. Well, why wasn't the game called Kid Pit?
Because
Sort of a...
because it's not called The Legend of Link. James, it's not called Samus. Samus 2, Return of Samus Aran. James, what are you doing? This isn't you. This is not you.
shitty ring to it. Will make a great movie, Kid Pit, starring Brad Pitt. Well, the original Japanese title
Pitt
translates
because
as Light
Pitt?
Myth, Lieutenant
Brad Pitt
America.
because
But for
a
whatever
Pitt
reason,
from...
they changed it to Kid Icarus. What's the big idea confusing us like that? Those motherfuckers. But not like Oedipus. That guy was the original motherfucker.
Okay, yes, more
Anyway,
more
the name
references.
Icarus comes from the story of King Minos, who built a labyrinth and put a monster in it called the Minotaur. The idea of labyrinths with monsters has probably influenced more video games than we can even begin to count.
Anyway, to build the labyrinth, Minos used an architect by the name of Daedalus, like the Neo Geo Daedalus, which converts your arcade MVS Neo Geo cartridges to play on your AES
What
Neo
are
Geo
you
console.
doing?
The son of Daedalus was named Icarus, who he crafted a pair of wings for to escape his very own
James, I
labyrinth
was your
that
biggest
Minos imprisoned
fan.
him
What are
in.
you
The fate
doing?
of Icarus was rather tragic, as he flew too high to the sun, melted his wings, and fell into the sea.
With highs and lows, it's very similar to the fate of this game. It sits on a high pedestal, along with all the other highly appraised NES antiques. But has it aged like fine wine? Or has it spoiled into vinegar? Let's uncork this bastard and find out.
So the nature of this game is simple. It's a 2D action platformer where you go around shooting enemies while collecting power-ups. Not much to explain. It has only 4 stages, though it's so difficult and grueling it feels more like 50. You're underpowered with a short-range arrow attack. Yeah, Pit sucks, but at least he's not like the Hunter Orion.
He's underpowered. He just killed all those monsters in one hit each.
Underpowered with a short-range arrow attack. Yeah, Pit sucks, but at least he's not like the Hunter Orion.
In the classic Greek myth, did you know how Orion was birthed? Do you want to know? Well, okay, Zeus, Hermes, and Poseidon urinate onto a bull's hide, they bury it, and out from it spawns Orion.
Bury.
Imagine if your entire existence came from getting pissed on. Not just being pissed on, but pissed on by a god. Not just by a god, but by 3 gods. Psst, that'd be the most epic golden shower ever. Wow, holy shit.
Okay, so
Holy piss.
the point is that
Anyway, back to the game.
Greek
So the
mythology is
first stage
weird?
vertical.
James.
I'm sorry. I gotta ask, did the 3 gods piss on the bullhide at the same time? Like a big Olympian circle piss party? Okay, back to the game.
When you stay at a Verbo, the host doesn't stay with you.
This is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life.
It isn't really a vacation. It's
James! I've only been here for 8.
Boy, you really
Minutes.
want to know about the Egyptian myths. Okay, so Horus and Set are in competition to claim the throne of Egypt. Set comes on Horus's hands, and then Horus comes on Set's lettuce, which he eats, and then the god Thoth tries to settle it and asks who came on who, and the seed of Horus actually answers with words. The crazy thing is, I'm not making this up. The ancient Egyptians did. Yeah, man. You thought going all the way back, those stories would be more intellectual than what we have nowadays? No, those gods were pissing and coming on each other all the time.
2,000 years ago, they didn't even know what a bacteria was, James. 2,000 years ago, they didn't have any of our medicine or our I got the entire world in my pocket right now on my cell phone. I could look up the Wikipedia article that you read for this episode, James, to read about Egyptian mythology and a Kid Icarus review. James. Why don't you just talk about the game, man? James, why are you wearing this costume? I can see that you just glued some gold tinsel on your sleeve and you... That's not even a shirt, James. I never... On your left shoulder, James... It's like you just made this out of a bed sheet. You could buy this stuff online for not that much money. You didn't have to make it yourself. You pocket protected, James. That's a paper envelope with some pens and a pencil in it. James, you're insane. James, you've lost the plot, fella.
Time, 3,000 years later, Mike Judge creates Beavis and Butthead. Nothing's changed. Anyway, let's start over. So, there's this game on NES called Kid Icarus.
You think that the way that sex was used in culture, that 2,000 years ago they didn't have a they were just being immature when they were coming up with the coming on the hands. You don't think that the miracle procreation, life, rebirth, you don't. Beavis and Butthead, James, really? James, I'm gonna post on Reset Era that you're a racist against Egyptians, James. That's BS!
In this game, you fight enemies while collecting power-ups. Yeah, your health power-ups are, get this, wine. That's awesome.
So,
That's the
Dionysus.
power-up I ever heard. It's a game made by Nintendo with kids in mind, where in order to get your health up, you must consume an alcoholic beverage.
Yes, they teach
And a lot
Greek
of it.
mythology in school.
Man, he drinks
Idiot.
a lot of wine, and he graduates to barrels. Full fucking wine barrels.
I mean, just to get his health up, he's got to get shit-faced. And dude, wine drunk is the worst. I mean, his teeth are like reddish purple, and he's staggering around. It's just...
Talking about
Why is this
April
guy
right now,
out?
James?
Oh, I forgot
Talking
to
about
take
your
the
wife,
bung out
April?
the bunghole. That's what it's called. Not a joke. That's what it's called.
Is the
Whenever
word
you see
bunghole
wine,
supposed to be
you
funny?
better get it. You think you could go in that door and then come back and it'll still be there? Of course it isn't.
Where's my fucking wine? Don't take my fucking wine away!
So if the wine is health, what are the hearts? Well, even though they look exactly the same as the hearts in Zelda, they're currency. Well, thanks again for confusing us, Nintendo. You take those hearts and go into
Okay,
the store.
just like
but the
Castlevania,
store
who
doesn't
cares?
always have the item you want. So to get the item to appear, you gotta leave the store, and then come back in, leave the store, come back in,
Leave the store. Come back in. Leave the store. Come back in.
How do you know what item you need?
Do it again.
Unless you played the game before.
Again. And again. And again. Oh,
If you
and
played the
see
game
item you
before, then
want?
who cares?
Don't buy it just yet, because there's a special sale going on. To take advantage of the special sale, you must pick up the second controller and push A and B.
Okay, that's cool.
How'd you know to do that?
You're not supposed to. That's what's fun.
Magazines, right? Nintendo Power.
Sure.
Find the clues that you can use.
Okay.
Nintendo Power. No, this was before Nintendo Power. Yeah, the power wasn't turned on yet. It was the Dark Ages. So what did you do before the internet and before Nintendo Power? Well, the answer is you didn't do shit.
If there's a strategy guide for this game...
Is that
it'd be
true? Is there
one
no
page
Kid
that said
Icarus
go-
Nintendo Power issue? I wasn't alive back then. I was dead. The original. Okay. Look at this. Look at this stupid BS. Nintendo Power. Kid Icarus. Hello, James. James. Are you stupid? Or what?
I was down to talk to my doctor about Rebelsis.
Alright, let's watch a few more ads for James.
Care provider about Rebelsis today.
fucking luck. I mean, look at this shit. Exactly the same as the hearts and graduates to back. Hole. Door. Fucking store. Second control. Zine. What did you fucking luck? I mean, look at this shit. The first stage is vertical, and if you fall back, you're dead. What killed me? The airspace.
Why'd you
I
put
just
this
occupied
free
2
driver
seconds ago?
update
Oh man,
in your video?
not again.
James?
And when you die, take a guess what happens.
You go back.
It sends you back to
Yep.
the beginning of the stage.
Okay.
Staying alive is only the first issue, besides being a Bee Gees song. I'm funny. Next, the game becomes a where the fuck do you...
He does not give a fuck. My hero, James Rolfe, does not give a fuck. That's the most bullshit stream of consciousness writing. The first issue is Staying Alive, and that's not just a Bee Gees song. He's just clacking away. He's just clacking on his keyboard. Staying Alive. Oh, yeah. That reminds me of that Bee Gees song, Staying Alive. I'll reference that in my video about this game. Are you insane? James. 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 James.
Go type of game. Yeah, WTFDYG. One of those. Oh, jeez. I just barely missed that ledge. Now, how the hell I get those? Oh, the where the fuck do you go type of game. Yeah, WTFDYG. One of those. Oh, where the fuck do you go type of game. Yeah, WTFDYG. One of those. Next, the game becomes a where the fuck do you go type of game. Yeah, WTFDYG. Next, the game becomes a where the fuck do you go type of game. Yeah, WTFDYG. One of those.
Where the fuck do you go type of game is a hallmark classic of James Rolfe and the AVGN. It was already a thing. And he's tried to make it into a thing with an acronym.
Where the fuck do you go type of game. Yeah, WTFDYG. One of those. Oh,
WTFDYG.
jeez, I just barely missed that ledge. Now, how the hell I get...
Which... Could that be an attempt to... DYG. Did you know gaming? Is that a reference? No, he couldn't be so clever. James fell off,
Back
man.
there, I don't know. You gotta get the map. It's essential. It basically looks like a waffle. No, really, it is a waffle. Yeah. Or some
Squares.
shit. Oh, but guess what? The map does nothing. In Zelda, you know, that other Nintendo-made game that came out around that same time, wasn't there a little dot to mark where you are on the map? Here, there's nothing of the sort. That means it's a waffle. Did you ever have a waffle that had a dot on it telling you where to go? No, pretty useless, I'd say, to rely on a waffle while fighting monsters and navigating through labyrinths. Okay, really now, it is the map. It's not lying, but you need to buy a pencil to mark your spot. A pencil. The character needs a pencil to mark the spot. He's in the middle of fighting monsters, then he has to stop and write shit down. Oh, look, I finally get to use something from my fashionable pouch right here. So he's like, oh, wait, hang on just a minute. I gotta write that. Oh, and meanwhile, he's like chugging just massive barrels full of wine, and he's got his sword and his shield and all.